see my message?
No, I
asked you to bring my bag, but anyway, that's
I was in I told you, go in. Let's just say go. That's what my mom said.
Hey, wait, wait.
Can you guys come and join us?
Okay. Your best smiles, please look in the camera.
Yeah, that was not my good side. हाँ बढ़िया फोटो लेना उसके बाद टचअप कर देना.
Wait, Lynch. Oh, hey, come on. You...
We're just looking at
Sorry?
Your Chinese I've been reading secretly on the email.
To occupy the dais. Good morning and a very warm welcome to the Golden Jubilee reunion. I request our dignitaries to please light the lamp.
Jyoti, the correction is the name. Yeah. The only correction. Jyoti is Jyoti.
कलुष भेद तम हर प्रकाश भर, कलुष भेद तम हर प्रकाश भर, जगमग जग कर ले वीणा वादिनी वर दे। नवल कंठ जल नवल मंत्र नव नवल कंठ नव जलद मंत्र नव नभ नभ के नव विहग वृंद को नभ नभ के नव विहग वृंद को नव पर नव स्वर दे वीणा वादिनी वर दे वीणा वादिनी वर दे वीणा वादिनी वर दे।
Manna to address the gathering.
Mr. Williams and my colleagues seated on the dais, off the dais, and most importantly, the batch of 1964 to 69, and your families, of course. First and foremost, on behalf of the Institute and on my personal behalf, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We are extremely glad that so many of you have made it possible to come and visit us. This is a great tradition of this institute. Every year, not just one but several batches in the pretext of celebrating 25th, 25th, 50th, various reunions, you all come here and make us feel very proud. Proud because, in our opinion, the biggest trophy that any institute of our order that can show to the rest of the world and take pride are the alumni. And all of you, of course it will take a lot of time for me to understand the entire who's who of this batch, who's where and what have you done all these years. But it's quite easy for us to assume that all of you have made it really well in your career since you graduated from this institute. And obviously, when we face any kind of question, be it from the government audit or anybody for that matter, as to what is your contribution to the society, I personally feel that this is our biggest reply to the entire government or any agency for that matter. The alumni of IIT Kanpur probably are the biggest trophy that this institute could be proud of. And because of that reason, and because of this very reason, the alumni, not only they are a part of the extended family, but they also reserve the right to come back and ask once in a while, raise a question with the administration as to what have you been doing. I joined this place as an administrator and as a faculty a little over 2 years by now. I joined precisely 7th of November 2012. And before I could even take a breath, I realized that it's already 2 years done. And personally speaking, I haven't been able to do much compared to what I wanted to do and what I wish to do in future. But of course, in my defense, I can only say that I have not been blazing away my time and trying to do my level best. And obviously, my colleagues also are equally committed. But there's a lot of things, there are a lot of things to be done. The road ahead of us is a long one. And there are quite a few things to be done, taken up very urgently. As an institute of tertiary education, we essentially do only one thing, or we are associated only with one entity, and that is knowledge. So we pursue knowledge in either of the two forms. We teach or we do research. So we disseminate or we try to create. Knowledge dissemination or teaching has always been a forte of this very institute. We created certain formalism which didn't exist in this country before. The way we would administer our courses, teaching courses, the way we would evaluate, the way we created certain new disciplines. IIT Kanpur is hailed today not only within this country, even beyond the borders for those contributions. But we also must acknowledge the fact that for whatever reasons, for decades probably we were a bit complacent. IIT Kanpur until some years ago, there was no doubt in the country that in technological field, this certainly was the #1 institute where any aspiring youth of the country would like to come and join and pursue engineering education. I'm not saying the situation is completely different today, but we must acknowledge that IIT Kanpur no longer is the first and foremost destination. There could be many reasons for that. And many of those are possibly beyond our control. But we as an institute can never sit idle and must do everything possible to reverse the trend. And that's exactly what we are trying to do now. One of the first things, ever since I took over, we decided to do is to collect data and input. So we have introduced something called a feedback system, which allows us to collect the recent data in terms of the output. It could be related to teaching records, related to research records, related to administrative measures that we are taking. And we have started analyzing them. We are trying to figure out where are we doing okay, where we are having weaknesses, and what should we do about them. The institute went through a very rigorous review process which essentially was done in two ways. One was discipline-wise, department or subject-wise, which we call internal review. And then subsequently we had an institute-wide review through entire peer mechanism. So the reviewers were drawn from different institutions, industry, even experts from abroad. And invariably, every team had at least one element. So we took their views, feedback very seriously, drew the summary of them, and then circulated to the departments, and wanted them to go through it and give us their feedback as to what all they believe are correct and what needs to be done about them. We had to go to the board of governors, and as you are aware, by virtue of the guiding principle to all IITs, we are also governed by the IIT Act and the government statutes, and as per these guiding principles, the Board of Governors of IIT Kanpur is the most important and the highest administrative body that oversees the activities of the institute. So we presented the summary of these review reports to the board. The board gave its views. We circulated them back to the departments. We actually are now, we haven't done that yet, but the academics, the summary of the feedback which relates to the academic matters will also be given to Senate and discussed. So this is our way of looking at our own selves. Basically what each one of us do, and that's what I personally believe is absolutely essential, is to look up to your own face at the mirror. How do you look today? And not how you used to look 25, 50 years ago. So we have to take certain corrective measures. And many a times, these are not very easy to leave alone implement, not even easy to discuss, because always there are opinions. But one thing is for sure, that the good thing that has happened through this exercise is that all of us are now aware that certain corrective measures are absolutely essential. We cannot sit idle and be complacent. Certain amount of accountability has to be introduced, and we are very sure that maybe in a few years' time we'll see some good results coming out because of this exercise. But the student community here, like all along, including the time you were a student here, the student community continues to be very, very innovative, very vibrant, and always willing to take up challenges. And they are our biggest insurance to pursuing excellence in future. But the community is not really as large as in some other IITs. IIT Kanpur has always maintained a rather slim structure, though we actually are endowed with the second largest campus among all IITs. Yet, until very recently, we were about 6,000, and now we are 6,500 strong community, students community. More than half of these communities actually PG students. For the last couple of convocations, you'll be surprised that close to 2/3 or even more number of degrees were awarded which were other than BTech or bachelors. I'm talking about anything from MSc to MTech or PhD and so on. But when you look around, and I'm sure many of you probably live abroad, when you compare the numbers of IIT Kanpur with big universities abroad, we all find it very difficult to accept that how could we be so small. Any big university in the world today who are well known will be having a student community which could be anything from a few times higher to orders of magnitude higher. Just the other day we signed an MOU with University of Melbourne, 50,000 student community. Obviously much older than us, over 100 years. But when I visited, I spent a whole day and spoke with several faculty members, cross-section of faculty and departments and so on. The heads of those institutions, I met also a similar counterpart from Brisbane. They always take pride in saying that we feature in top 50 of QS ranking or Times Higher Education ranking and so on and so forth. And the visitor to IITs, the president of the country, misses no opportunity to remind us that you don't feature in top 100 institutions of the world. It hurts us. And I wish it hurts even more to the ego of all those who are related to IIT Kanpur today. We have to make a difference somewhere. But that cannot happen overnight, for various reasons. For one big reason is that the very structure in which we have existed all these years doesn't allow us to pursue many of the items which are part and parcel of this ranking system. But to make my point very precise, I would like to say that even within the existing setup, existing formalism, there is enough room for us to improve. We cannot forget that we are a very well-endowed institution even within this country. We possibly enjoy few times even an order of magnitude higher funding, financial support from the government compared to even the big state or central universities. So per capita investment of government is much higher here compared to the universities. Infrastructure obviously is manifold better, but what we suffer from is the so-called denominator issue. Per unit, the number of users we have will be far too many compared to many of the institutions we can talk about abroad. So whenever the reporters confront me with the questions as to your president or visitor says you should do better and how come you're not able to meet the target. Then in my own defense, I quote something which actually is a correct statement. If we compare even today, dollars spent per publication, PhD degree produced per, or dollars spent per PhD degree awarded from institutions like ours, if we compare that number with any good institution in the world, be it in Europe or US or in Far East Asia, we certainly stand tall. Even a recent review showed that even today, if all IITs, the old IITs, 5 old IITs, are put together as a group, even today we ranked 61st in the ranking system. Another very important facet which is often ignored and which is very unfortunate is the quality of alumni that institutions like IIT Kanpur have produced over the years. Some survey recently showed that IITs, these 5 IITs put together, if they are compared in respect of one single contribution, which is the number of entrepreneurs and jobs created by the alumni of an institution, then these IITs as a group should feature as number 4, only behind Stanford, MIT, University of California as a group, then IIT, and even Harvard and many other top institutions will come later than that. So there's no doubt that IITs certainly have contributed over the years, and IIT Kanpur certainly stands out among them. But that's a matter of the past, and in reality, today we have certain ground to be covered. The reason why I'm making such a long speech about this very issue is because you as alumni have a role to play here. And that is first and foremost to demand excellence from this institute, from your alma mater, which should be very, very strong and loud. And number 2 is, many of you, not necessarily with your wallet, but many of you actually can contribute towards the aspirations of the institute by offering us valuable suggestions, advices, giving us clues, and connecting us to agencies. Many of our students are keen to, for example, pursue internship abroad, not necessarily in academic institutions, but in companies, in industries. Many of our faculty members are very much willing to collaborate or cooperate with faculty colleagues, counterparts abroad. Many of us are students and colleagues and staff and research scholars actually would benefit a lot by collaborating not necessarily with institutions abroad, but even within the country, and particularly industries within the country. What we have done over the years, about which there is no doubt, are the few things as follows. We have created an internationally acclaimed standard of education in engineering and technology. There's no doubt about that. The alumni produced by IITs, in particular IIT Kanpur, certainly stand out. There's no doubt about that. We certainly have contributed to a large extent in developing knowledge in terms of publications, patents, and there are good examples of even creating technology, which are adopted by agencies, by industry to some extent. What we haven't done, and what we should do in the near future, is to create viable technologies spun out of this country, this very institute. And for that matter, the institute now wants to pursue something called so-called mega projects, which in our opinion should be something completely planned, designed, developed, and delivered from within the campus. But that doesn't mean that the whole thing, A to Z, will have to be completely by IIT Kanpur. We would like to have partners from outside IIT Kanpur, maybe from another institution, another research institution, another academic institutions, and more importantly, partner industries, so that the prototype eventually can be translated into a complete product or a technology. So it is this translational research which actually would change the face of IIT Kanpur in the near future. And to be able to pursue that, we need very active collaboration from peers from outside the campus. And this is where I personally believe that the alumni would certainly play a very major role, very important role. So I won't take any further time. I wish that all of you spend a very enjoyable time here. I'm sure the Alumni Association would have organized trips for you to visit your departments, your hostels, and wherever you wish to visit. And I hope that you like the campus. I hope you, certainly after spending a couple of days here, would carry very good memory of this place with you, and certainly would be willing to come back here. But most importantly, as I said, as the biggest goodwill ambassadors of IIT Kanpur, I hope that each one of you would spread the message to your friends and batchmates, whoever couldn't make it this time, that IIT Kanpur certainly value you, need you, and expect you to contribute handsomely in future. Thank you very much.
Batch Coordinator, Mr. Dilip Williams, to address the gathering.
Good afternoon, Dr. Indra Manna, Dr. Margunshi, Dr. Venkatesh, the faculty of IIT, my friends and batchmates. So thank you very much for the welcome you have given us, and we really feel proud to be here. And thank the alumni and the staff. I would like to mention the name of Lalita, who has really been this source of coordination for this IIT to get together. And I think it's very nice of you to have welcomed us and given such a nice place here. We came here way back in 1964. It was July 1964. By June 1964, most of us had got our letters. And July 64 we came. And they were just, at that time, Hall 1, Hall 2, and Hall 3 were being constructed. There were only Hall 1, 2, 3, I think, libraries. And there was the airstrip with nothing in between. And it used to be just a jungle road, and we should just go there. And actually, at that time, we really had a glider. Not a motor glider, but a rail glider too. So, coming back, a lot of us who have come here, and I must say, there are people who have come from as close as the campus. Ashok Khanna is probably the closest person to have come to this. To people who have come from all over India, from the UAE, from Europe, and from the US, to participate and to show us solidarity with the IIT. And we feel very proud of being part of this institution. A lot of people could not make it. 50 years has taken a little toll on health reasons, on some of the issues, and one of the main things was Thanksgiving. But whoever has been here, it was very interesting that we had get-togethers and the wives, the lady wives. I heard them commenting yesterday that, oh, let them be boys again. And I think we were really boys again way back, talking the same language, the same way we talked way back in 1964. I think your address has been very well received by us, and I think we do find a commitment to our institution. We, I'm sure, would carry this message forward to our friends, whoever we can. But in these many years which have gone by, unfortunately, we've also lost some of our good friends. Some of them went very early, some of them went as late as early as probably last week. The topper of our batch, who was supposed to come, and he was very keen to join us, unfortunately could not make it, and he left us just last week. We are deeply disturbed by that, and we were talking this morning about a reunion of the actual 50 years of passing out. I hope we and many more can participate, and we hope we'll be able to contribute something to the Institute before we come the next time. I would like to assure you, on behalf of our batch, that we would never forget the days we had here and the time what IIT taught us. We have in various fields. Some are professors, some are businessmen, some are salespersons, some are counselors, all sorts of, IIT really taught us a lot of things. And I think it's time to give back, and we will do our best in trying to do whatever we can. Thank you very much for the welcome again, and I would like to request my colleague Suman Sareen to kindly come and remember all those who are wonderful for us. So that we get beyond space. Thank you very much.
It's with a very heavy heart that I read the names that we know of our friends who are no more. Ajay Kumar Seth, Ravi Shankar, Vishnu Chandra Varshney, Arun Kumar, Ashok Kumar Chandra, Naresh Dikshit, Satinder Singh Punia, Dilip Kohli, Aminul Haq, M. Chandrasekhar, Ashok Khanna Brutus, Vinay Kumar Verma, Girish Chandra Dwivedi, Amaldar Singh, Ajay Agarwal, and Krishnakant Vishkar.
Chota Chandrasekhar, who was in Vancouver, passed away about 5-6 months back. I shared this information casually, but sorry it didn't reach you.
That's right.
Chandrasekhar is there. Chandrasekhar name is there.
That's a tall Chandrasekhar. Chandrasekhar was a big guy.
This is a short chapter.
That's right. 10 years ago, when we had the 35th reunion, counting from 69 of course, तो उस वक्त मैंने एक शेर पढ़ा था इनकी ग्रीफ में। पिछले 10 सालों में उससे बेहतर शेर हमारे गम को डिस्क्राइब करने के लिए मुझे नहीं मिल पाया, तो उसको मैं दोबारा पढ़ूंगा। तन्हा नहीं मातम में तेरे है रात स्याह पोश, तन्हा नहीं है मातम में तेरे रात स्याह पोश, meaning it is not the night alone which grieves for you by wearing black. रहता है सदा चाक गिरबाने सहर भी, that even the neck and the shoulders of the morning is red. That's when the sun rises. वो कटा हुआ रहता है, blood moves out करता है. So the whole universe grieves for you. I have been giving some thought to how we should remember these friends who were so much a part of our lives. So, last 3 days, I wrote a few lines which I will read to you. I tried to imagine if I was dead, how I would like you guys to remember me. So from that perspective, from the perspective of those who are gone, I am addressing you. It's on my iPhone, because I was sick a couple of days ago, and this is the only thing I could write on. हम जानते हैं तुम्हें दर्द है, हम जानते हैं तुम्हें दर्द है, ये जान लो हम भी गमगीन हैं, ये जान लो हम भी गमगीन हैं, ये ना समझना कि हम मौजूद नहीं, ये ना समझना कि हम मौजूद नहीं, हमारी रूह के हिस्से अब भी बसते हैं यहाँ के कमरों और गलिहारों में, हमारी रूह के हिस्से अब भी बसते हैं यहाँ के कमरों और गलिहारों में, खेल के मैदानों और पेड़ों के सायों में। इसका अफसोस न करना कि साथ नहीं है तुम्हारे, कभी गए ही ना थे तुम्हें छोड़ के हम नजदीक हैं तुम्हारे, बहुत नजदीक, तुम्हारी बातों को सुन सकते हैं, तुम्हारे ख्यालों को महसूस करते हैं। जैसे रेगिस्तान में दबे बीज गुजार देते हैं बरसों बारिश के इंतजार में। I'll repeat that. जैसे रेगिस्तान में दबे बीज गुजार देते हैं बरसों बारिश के इंतजार में, जब जब बारिश करोगे यादों की हम पर, खेलेंगे जी उठेंगे हम। जब जब बारिश करोगे यादों की हम पर, खिलेंगे जी उठेंगे हम। यादों की परतों के दरमियान सदियों इंतजार करेंगे, यादों की परतों के दरमियान सदियों इंतजार करेंगे, बार बार याद आएंगे, यादों में तुम्हारी जिंदा रहेंगे, यादों में तुम्हारी जिंदा रहेंगे, खिलखिलाएंगे, फिर लहराएंगे हम। We will be planting a sapling in remembrance of those. And today and tomorrow and whenever we meet, we will make our friends live again in the anecdotes and the memories which we will have of them, and this is how we will celebrate. Thank you.
I now request our director to welcome the guests, and Mr. Williams will read out the name.
used to be the music secretary once upon a time, many years ago. A good harmonium player. Abhijit Sen. Bhaskar Roy. Abhijit Sen, Bhaskar Roy.
अकेले नहीं जाएगा
Take our time. We take our time.
नहीं ये तो अकेले ले लो
Abhijit Sen.
You remember roll numbers?
Oh yeah, roll numbers. Yeah, 64001. He is the first. Bhaskar Roy 64056.
You asked the roll numbers.
64001. First. When he came, he was thin like a stick. Right? Bhaskar Roy is 64056. He is a drummer of attitude. He hasn't changed 1 minute something in the company. Otherwise, it's not the same. Santokh Singh Sire, 64178. Santokh Singh Sire. Dr. Arvind Prasad, 64026, please. Arvind Prasad. Santokh Singh Sire, Arvind Prasad. Asim Shukla, 64050. 64050.
Excuse me, sir.
Asim is standing in front of the camera. No, Arvind Prasad.
They are with spouses. The spouses have to come also.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, I didn't know that you were going to invite his spouses too, so fine. Okay, Arvind and his spouse. Please bring your legitimate spouses only. Arvind,
Sorry.
you have to make a declaration with a legitimate spouse.
Kids also. This is for the kids.
Okay, Abhijit से Bhaskar Roy. Bhaskar Roy हो गया? भाई Bhaskar Roy हो गया? नहीं, Elena. Asim Shukla. तुम्हारी आदमी का नहीं होगा। अच्छा, मिस्टर शुक्ला भी यहाँ हैं। ठीक, आइए। Mrs. Roy.
Sorry for the. अब डांट पड़ेगी.
Jagdish Narayan and Asha Shukla. Jagdish Narayan and Asha Shukla. 64094.
Believe you can announce the roll number first and see if they remember it.
Okay, let us see. Well, this number I'll have to remember. 64074 Dilip Williams.
Yes, you climb up again.
Next roll number on it.
Next roll number is going to be 64117. Let's see if you remember it. Oh, that's it. Kuldeep and Manjeet. 64134. 64134. O Vikas and Pramuda. O Vikas and Pramuda. 64135. Let me see. Oh, you remember Padma and Padma and Next. O Vikas, Padma Jyoti. Ramesh Gupta is not here. Oh, Ramesh, sorry. 60162, Ramesh Gupta. He's come alone, so his wife is a very busy lady. She's a doctor, and before, with the cold, she had more work than before, so that's why she couldn't come. So Ramesh Gupta, 64179. 64179. I remember it is not very good. Santosh and Suman. Sorry. 6421. Yagnavan and Kalyani. 64069. 64069, Deepak Haridharlati. Yagnavan and Padma Jyoti are the two people who are here who come all the way from Nepal. Then Deepak 64069, 64106. Everybody remembers their number. That's right. Huh? 64106, Kamlesh and Bilbila Malhotra. 64061. 64061. याद है बिल्कुल मतलब बिल पुशेट है नंबर का
कल तक तो याद था
64047 Ashok and Madhu Manglik Ashok and Madhu Manglik 64105 Nobody can forget this number and nobody can forget the person also. ये दुबई नहीं है दुबई आए हैं अरे नाम दुबई के बताइए कब लाके उनकी गौरा ये देवला गौरा
मेरा रोड नंबर नहीं याद है यार हमें तो याद है केजी को सब नंबर अपना याद रहता है ना और इस कैब में हम हमेशा रहना चाहेंगे बार-बार आना चाहेंगे बार-बार आना चाहेंगे
कमलाकर रितुषी द्विवेदी 64155 64155 राकेश and Shashi Rakesh Shashi 64098 64098 This is a gentleman who was called JPTV Jayaprakash and Sarita
He introduced us for 2 years. It was all just
64212 64212 Suresh Prasad Suresh and Saroj Suresh Prasad is called Man. For what reason I don't know. But he was called Man. And he was the only guy who had and he was the only guy who had a motorcycle those days. He had a bullet. Right? May I request Ashish Dixit? Please come in here, Ashish.
No, Mamta.
Ashish Dixit, come please. This is on behalf of Naresh Dixit, who
No, call him Mamta. Mamta.
Mamta. Ashish and Mamta.
No, Naresh
is right. So I'm saying this is a fortunate moment for all of us to have you come here. So nice of you, Mamta, to have come. Ashish. Six 64202 आ जाओ भाई सुधीर तुम्हारा नंबर ही वेट कर रहा था कि कहाँ गया मेरा नाम सुधीर and Indira and Mukul okay sorry Sudhir he has his son it's nice seeing the family has also been coming participating Sudhir has come over from New York USA I won't say New York but just USA and 64204 Babua Babu आए Babu 640 thank you he used to be the mess secretary and we enjoyed a lot of time we had mess food late at night right 64189 64189 याद रखो अपना नंबर भैया शरद Tripathi 64187 64187.
Can I say?
Zero.
Last night I travelled from Delhi to Kanpur. In my never in the coupe. I got up in the morning and I said, I'm going to pull up Professor Manna. He said, why? I said, I wanted to tell him a few things. And finally I realized that Professor Manna is very much conscious, and what he repeated is exactly what I wanted to tell you. My neighbor was Professor Raman Singh from Monash.
I see.
Thank you. 64187. Shailendra? अरे भैया भूल गए अपना नंबर? नहीं भूल गए? सतीश and Mrs. Bhattnagar. 64109. 64109. Kaplesh, Savinder, and their sweet daughter Ruchi. Ruchi is not around, eh? Where are you?
Very much here.
Okay, you were sitting in the back.
Take care, there are those little steps.
Special welcome to Ruchi. That's she's made a very big effort to come here. So sweet of you to come here. 64240. 64240. Vishwanath Shukla, Asha, and daughter Rashima, and their grandchildren, right? Okay. Here a big gang was come all the way. Vishwanath Shukla. That's good. So we become the family, Boston family. Where's the gang?
Where's the man with the degree?
Big welcome to the whole family.
Yeah, thank you. 64148.
Okay.
Turn around to take somebody to take a picture quickly. Nana's to school, right?
Okay, so let's stand here for nice one.
Ram Diwali,
thank you.
Some people can't. No, I'm sorry. Yes, 6420, no, 64148, Rajat Kumar, he was called guide. Yeah, Raju and wife Padmaja. He's a guy who has patents and he only does what he's suing others and gets money. 4207 Surendra Mohan. Surendra Mohan Kapoor. 64214.
Yeah,
64214.
Yeah. Nice. Wait.
64214, Tom and Prema Matthew. Tom has been doing a lot of good work.
Yeah.
The entire program on his own with Raju as the head. Yes. I must acknowledge Raju. He did the first thing together in the top with so special thanks to Tom. Ramesh Sharma is not here. Ramesh Sharma. Oh, I'm sorry, you came this morning?
Yes.
Okay, that's why I didn't know. Okay, Ramesh. Yes, please.
Professor R.C. Sharma was in the faculty when I did my master's in this institute. And more so, when I joined back here in 2012,
I was still around.
He was still around. And he was the one who welcomed me in the Senate as chairman, sir.
Well, it's good to have you. Whatever goes in, come back here. 64191. 191. Shiv Prakash Agarwal and wife and son, Shashank. 64194. 64194. Lambu.
Okay. देख रहा था।
ख्यालों में।
Yeah, exactly. What a shame.
उल्टा सीधा पढ़ लो, हमको क्या मालूम मेरा।
भैया अच्छा 64,194 ऐसा बोले 64008 64008 अजय बता दिया रविंदर जय did he come today Ravinder no I don't think Ravinder thank you Subhash Chandra also didn't come today no he didn't come okay can't see Rajendra Goyal okay Radhesham
राधे श्याम आ जाओ।
राधे का नंबर क्या नंबर 145 रमेश गुप्ता तो नहीं आया हाँ
फोटो खिंचा के चला गया
Sabharwal from UK he couldn't come so he thank you so much for coming by and anybody else have come around not the least man on the spot he was vacating his office 2 days ago I heard still on your road then he should be getting anything Ashok what's your roll number
034 he's got it there he should be checking
देखो यहाँ के हिंदू कहाँ के आ गया होगा।
Thank you so much, sir. If there is anybody who is being left out, brochure now, and request Tom to come up. History behind it.
That might take all the pain and the suffering that you are trying.
One thing I realize is that we have 15 minutes over this. I'll be brief.
You take 5 minutes.
I'll take 5 minutes. Before I request one of the directors to release this publication, let me give you a little background on how it happened. We've been planning this event for the better part of 2 years. And one of the important suggestions made was, and it was made by Pawan Kumar, who couldn't be here today, was that we should have a souvenir, as they called it, a GJR souvenir, which would give the bios and photos of all our batchmates, to provide everybody a chance to see what happened in the last 50 years of the professional and personal lives of these people. So that was a great suggestion, and I was volunteered to do the job. One thing I realized was that this is a tough job. The components of it which are very tough. The toughest being collecting the information from people. Because not everybody wants to come into the public domain with their CVs. So I did the smartest thing I've done for a long time. I asked my good friend Raju Guide everyone with tracking these incoming mails with the database, with the information that was provided by them. What we found was there was very little coming in, and for a couple of months there were probably about less than 10. The really civic-minded, dedicated, loyal people like Kaplesh Kumar and so on, very early. Others were philosophers sending in nothing. We struggled, we moved, and I must say the batch also provided a lot of support, encouraging their lazy classmates to send in their contributions. Finally, by the end of our extended deadline, October 15th, I think, we got about 49 bios in a class of 220. So that is not a representative sample, as any of us would know, but it did provide for interesting information, which I think the Institute also will find useful. So without more ado, I'm going to request Professor Manna to open this. 3 copies of the publication.
Nice job.
Very nice.
Very nice. Oh, it's got picture.
I need to say
We don't have to read it.
I need to say a few words of thanks. Most to Raju, who did a tremendous job in collecting, collating the information and putting it into an orderly fashion so that I could handle it after that. We have a lot of key members of the group who I call email warriors. Furiously went after those who were not sending in their contributions, and we are grateful to them. I'm very grateful to Lalita of the Alumni Association, who helped with the pictures of the institute that we required to have to lend their charm, the beautiful campus. Now, one thing that happens when you do a bit of work like this, putting together a database, is that you get things wrong. You get somebody's head on somebody else's body. Somebody who doesn't answer for it. So there may be mistakes in this publication for which I seek anticipatory bail. I hope you forgive us. This is the first attempt that has been made. And Raju had a brilliant suggestion of doing an online version of this, which would enable us to continue, not stop at 49, but continue with this process. And so that when we come back for the next one, we'll have 100% attendance. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Well, for me as secretary, and even as an alumnus, this is the first time I'm seeing how a reunion looks like. This is fantastic. Makes me look forward to my own Golden Jubilee reunion, but I've got 23 years to wait. That's a little long time. And, well, I entered here in 87. It's already been a long time here, and this place, I can say, is one of those nice addictions that you can have. But I can see that if people have come back here in such large numbers after such a long time, there must be something about this place that pulls you back here. It pulled me so hard that I never left this place. And I'm extremely happy about that. And when I saw yesterday the enthusiasm with which we greeted each other and recognized each other and remembered their nicknames, I remembered some nicknames I had myself which I'd rather not tell you about. But it's been a very nice couple of days and we have still got a day to go, and I hope you have a very great time. Thank you very much.